Hello from rainy South Carolina. Look at all the leaves budding out. Dogwoods are blooming. It's April 7th. Yesterday I wanted to do some woodworking stuff, and I'll show you in a moment. But it's one of those, and I'm seeing it with other people, you know, to do one thing you got to do 2 or 3 other things to get to it. And the woodworking area was just a mess. And the way things are just brought in and set down, and it just, so I wanted to do more than clean. I wanted to put things away. And I couldn't do everything. And like, let me back up. Like this area, this is where I come in, talk to my husband, he was just down here, and using this as wood storage. This needs to all go. In fact, we've got room on the other side of the garage that can go to, and because I can't use that chop saw, I can't do a 8-foot long board and cut it in half, which is, I'm doing a lot of 48-inch pieces, and that's a lot easier to use with the 2x4. Don't need to do that overkill with that big chop saw, which is more for shelving boards and wider boards. They both work great for 2x4s. That's just a little bit easier. So this needs to go, and I'm going to work on that in just a moment, because my husband just cleared out, well, my husband and I, we cleared out 2 wheelchairs and a big shower chair, because we have 2 wheelchairs. They're different sizes. One's for a little bit larger person. You've noticed those now, haven't you? We do have one family member that may need bigger than the average wheelchair. So we don't want to get rid of them. So he put them up into the shipping containers. So that freed up all this floor space here and over there, and so I'm going to move the shelf over there, now that I've got room and I can get around. Still going through some of this and trying to figure out what's what, because I didn't know. Things just got slapped in here. My son emptied the camper and brought stuff in here. I don't know what's where. I'm finding stuff like, oh yeah, I forgot, you know, I knew I had this. I hate those things. I like knowing where everything is. It can be a mess, but if I don't know what it is, it doesn't matter. If it's a mess and I know where it's at, then I can deal with it and put it off, but I can't put it off when I don't know. So in the next video, you'll see that taken care of. Sawdust. Sawdust management. Trying to incorporate that we always check these bags before we start. Make sure they're emptied before and after, just to make sure that, you know, if the sun comes in here and does stuff too. I also separated treated lumber, not treated lumber. And the 2x4s were sitting on the floor here, and I didn't like it on the concrete. I did that as a temporary. I just found 2 scrap pieces of 2x4s and stuck the unused so far 2x4s on there. My husband moved a metal 55-gallon drum that he wanted to do for a project. It's empty. It's just sitting there taking up space. So got that moved. That's a kerosene heater. I'll get it moved over to the other side too. And that way the bandsaw, which was over there right in the way, just enough clearance for the door to come down, and it was just getting in the way of everything. So I've got room. That's a wood stove, wood a heater, and it's the size of it. I want to connect, but that's no rush now. We're going into spring, don't need it, but I want to put it in its place and move the gardening tools over to the other side, because now that I know what's over there and what I got room for, I can do that kind of stuff on my own. My husband helped me with what I couldn't do, and I didn't want to mess with certain things that he kind of had in transition, because I didn't want to move that, because that's the most frustrating thing, is you left things to come back to and someone moved things around while you were gone. That's just, anyway, that's a real big peeve of mine, so I don't do that to other people, even if it's to get even. So I got that at auction, this. We got that at Harbor Freight last year. I'm cutting a lot of shelves and things wider than our little chop saw would handle, and I didn't want to get out the circular saw for each one of them. I still wasn't getting a really good cut with a circular saw, so we got that for me to do the other projects with. My husband cleared up the floor space for himself, but see how he buried the work table? And he does that a lot. Our minds just don't work in the same way. I would leave that out. Or at least make it easy access. But it's also hard and awkward, and for me, just pulling that thing out, the workbench back there, pulling that out and getting it relocated, I probably will hurt myself, not every time, but a good bit of the time when I do that. I bought 2 of these at Harbor Freight. They were $22. They're on sale this month, so it was a good time to get it. I think they're $29, 30 bucks or something like that. Anyway, I think most of the time you're going to find them at 21 something, $22. It's very light. It is not as sturdy as the other one. That's fine. This is exactly what I need. I bought 2 of them for that price, and it's still cheaper than buying one of the other ones. I hadn't even put the other one together yet because I hadn't needed to. I hope to, in the next week or so, do a big, I need to get more 2x4s before I can do it, so we need to make a trip and get some more 2x4s. I got a whole new roll of 100 feet of hardware cloth to use. So, I like this. This is going to do the job. It doesn't fold up as neatly as something this size should. But it folds up enough, but right now it can stay out. So all that's going to, next time I do a update on the woodworking area, all that will be gone. The bandsaw, which I've not gotten to use yet, will get moved over here. And unused wood will be over here. But this is what I want to show you. I got this cart. The work table actually was listed as work table. I can't remember if I got I'm not sure if I paid $3 a piece for each of these or $3 for both of them. I have to go back and look, but it was cheaper than I could have bought the lumber for. I added the casters, which cost me $1 a piece, so $4, and the 2x4. I ripped one 2x4 in half, straight down in half, not into 2x2s, and I just didn't, I went ahead and just cut it in half. So they're 1 3/4, anyway, or a little bit more. Yeah, 1 3/4 inch by 1.5 inch strips. And I cut it to fit that size, the bottom, to give it an extra support. You can see the darker wood is what was already on here. So it had this on both sides, and I wanted a shelf in the middle, and it worked fine with this one, with a pair on both sides, screwed in on the sides and screwed into the bottom piece, and it did fine holding these. It's strong enough to hold more weight than the 100-foot roll comes in, but this thing was coming out in the center like a cone, and that was irritating me, and it wasn't safe. It's it's going to pop out. It's not going to be straight. So I used the rest of the 2x4, ripped the other part. Forgot how long it was, but I measured it in half, put it in half, and then this was another piece of scrap that we had around. I cut it to 9.5 inches each, and then screwed them onto the sides, and it was perfect. That just was serendipity. It worked out to be just slightly over 24 inches wide. So these things fit in. So, and when I was cutting it in half, I was trying to get it exactly in half, but I was cutting it at a 45-degree angle so that it would fit down in the bottom, be flat that way. And I did something wrong. So one side's a little bit longer than the other, but you really can't tell, and you probably wouldn't know. But this is a good way to store it. They were getting in the way and falling over, and these were up front. And I'm tired of it looking trashy. I don't mind it looking redneck, but I don't want it to be junky. So I had that around the camper, so I'm trying to clean around the camper. And they fit down there just fine because I'm going to do some panels with that for another project, not with the chickens. So I wanted to have it all together. When I get the 2-foot by 4-foot panels put together, painted, in fact, I plan on painting on this. So I got my paint stuff there. Because of having this down there, I did that because I also wanted to have additional shelf space. And because things can't be on top of this when I'm working on those panels. And I also want to paint up here. So I have a tarp. It's not used yet. And I'll just cover this with the tarp. And I'm going to paint my 2x2 pieces on here. And this has a place for the paint. And when it's time to staple the hardware cloth onto there and to cut it, I've got my snips over here, and I've got my pneumatic stapler and the staples, the planer. I've got extra screws. That's just scrap screws from taking apart the wooden chicken coop that I've been also working on this week. So I'm taking the old one down that I've got videos of. It needed to be repaired, and I don't like it. So I just decided to take it all apart and just continue on with the panel system that I'm doing, and do that with the dog run. So the dog run's staying put, but now I'm just going to redo that thing. So I'm getting ready to do things for myself, and as well as start playing around with things that I'm going to sell. But having a working cart, the pneumatic stapler kept, every time I finished up with it, it went into a different place, and that wasn't good. Now it goes back into its box. It's got a home. I can roll this out. When it's not raining, I can roll this out. Everything would be okay for the most part. I wouldn't want the tools in the rain, but this wood is that compressed stuff, so that won't work. Maybe I'll duct tape it. But I can roll this out there, work on it. I'll use it for the whole thing. It has a home for everything. I'm working out different things. When I have the panels put together and painted and dried, I'll cut this down. I'm also going to cut off 1 inch on the side, because if you saw my chicken coop update, latest update, it's just too wide, and I wasn't getting it on there straight. But I think if I use some clamps, and I got some more of these, and clamp it down before I start stapling and get it right that way, then I think it's going to look much cleaner. My husband and I also talk about just routering the inside square a little bit and making this flush into it, so there's less of a chance of getting, even when these are cut down close, you still get a little jab, and you can still cut yourself if you scrape just right. So we're talking about doing that, so I need a routering station. I bought my husband a router. He has an old router that's kind of, it still works, but I wanted to get him a newer one. And I got him that, and we've not used it because we've not had room to really set this stuff up. I need to come in here, go through this whole shelves and find out what the heck we've got, where it's at, put labels so people know where to put things back. And that's part of the problem. I can't fault my husband or even me, because things don't have a proper home to get put back in, and that's so important. And I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos on woodworking shops and looking at people with even less space. We've got all this space, and we just have stuff everywhere. my son was building that for his truck bed. He traded in the truck. He doesn't have a truck anymore. I'll call him up about that. There's a Coroplast. My husband was complaining about the sawdust getting on the tractor. That's not a big issue. He wasn't really upset about that. But I don't want to get sawdust onto everything that's out there. So maybe some sort of tarp or plastic sheeting, just at least on the top part. It doesn't, we can keep it from the bottom part or something. Figure out some sort of way to keep it from getting as bad. So I'm really excited. I'm really happy with, it's taken me really a day. I just added this part today. I added this strip along with this. That's all scraps that we had around here. So I just used one new 2x4, and the 4 casters were new. They weren't from another project, and the casters were only $1 a piece. They're small. It's not for a lot of weight. So this should make my life a lot easier, because before I was literally having to pick this up and having to move things from around it, which I still do, and then getting it outside so I would have a little bit more surface. And I was using the sawhorses. And the, what do you call it? The tailgate of the truck to have enough workspace. So even with that, I can use this for the plywood sheet when I need to cut it down. And this is chicken stuff. I don't know where to put this, but I just found them. They were buried underneath a bunch of stuff in another container. So I want to get all this cleaned up. There's my other folding, clamping workbench. So I'm really happy. I now have a lot easier. That assembled is a lot lighter and easier to handle than that. Although the height of this is counter height. This is a little bit better height for painting. But that may be a little bit easier for me to assemble. I found this little tool. That'll help with some of the corners. Some of them. Yeah, there is a little bit of twisting when you cut down into 2x2s, but if you work with it pretty fast and get it assembled, it doesn't twist up as bad. So that's another thing, trying to get everything done quickly. And this will help. It's less hunting for where everything is. Everything is there, pretty much, except for the cut pieces of wood. Everything is there for me to do the pre-drilling. I'm also making jigs using those furring strips. And I made 2 other jigs, and I can't find them. I may have sacrificed them to finish up that other nesting box. So I need to go through all this. I still have some more furring strips cut down over there, but I can't find the 45-inch or 48-inch ones, but I can make another one. That's not a problem. So I'm really excited. I mean, I am really excited about this. It was nice to... It was the difference of 2 feet. Getting this thing back 2 feet is just wonderful. Now it's easier to get in here and do more stuff. So I'm excited. I'm getting a lot better about all the stuff. I replaced the... And also I got another question. Most of the sawdust is going down there, but a lot of it, I thought maybe it was just all the stuff that was blowing up. But it seems to be that things are coming out from inside there, so maybe there's some more cleanup I need to do. I have no idea what else to do. Oh, and I meant to ask my husband if he knew what this was. This comes off. I don't know where that goes to. I do have the guard, but this actually caused me more problems and felt more dangerous to me because it would get caught. So this will keep it from kicking back, but I also had some issues where it did something funky, but maybe I should try that again. Because I do believe in every safety measure, do it. So, need to find out, the gardening stuff shouldn't be in here. And this will get cleared off. But since we've started using the other chop saw, this has gotten messy because we don't need it as much as we used to. But now that I'll get this cleared up, I'm excited. Anyway, I just kind of stopped in halfway because when it's raining on this metal roof, it's really loud in here. And I wanted to show this in progress. I did make another video, but dang, I sounded so whiny in the other video that I didn't like hearing myself talk, and I didn't want to subject anybody to that. I don't, it's okay to let people know something's not right. It's never okay to whine. There's a difference. Sharing information, even negative information, there's a good way and a bad way to do that. I don't want to do the bad way. But I just wanted to share. I'm just really excited about this. The light's not working. I meant to ask him about that. I think we do have some replacement bulbs. And those things are expensive. That little one that's in use right now to just give us a little extra light because it got really dark. That fluorescent light isn't much. Doesn't brighten this area up very much. And that little light, the cord on it is like chewed up or something. I saw a big old rat. It's the size of a gerbil. Earlier today. Freaked me out just seeing the motion. But I'm just excited about this. It feels like progress. Even though I've been doing other stuff, putting together all those things and doing the stuff with the chicken coops. Yes, I got a lot of that accomplished, but every time I stepped into this area, it was like a weight. And even though this is far from perfect, far from even good, it's nowhere near excellent, it's not excellent, but just to walk into this area and having that mess constantly in my face and all the stuff that I couldn't do by myself, I feel so much better. I feel like a weight has been lifted. I'm really proud. I should have done this sooner. I don't know why I didn't. It just didn't occur to me. But now that I'm thinking about, okay, I've got this station just for putting this together. This, this rolls out. I'm going to roll that back in for now. And I can clip all that when I get a chance. I had little pieces of these all over. I finally got that swept up. And I want to figure out a way to do this to where I can clip them in a bucket or something where they're going to fall into a bucket. So I'm not having to clean that up. I'll figure out something. Or I may just fold them back. I don't know. Actually, I like that. So I don't have those pieces all over the place. And this one's empty. Dollar Tree. Mainly paintbrushes and gloves. And I bought some, I keep these in my kitchen. Those are gloves, latex gloves. A lot better than those flimsy food prep type gloves. There's some like that in there, in these Dollar Tree kits. It's an oil paint, so I just throw it away. I'm not going to worry about washing any of these. They're a one-time use, so I have a lot out here. And going through some of my toolboxes and tool bags and different things that I've organized things in. So finding these things, stuff I was using for the my little trailer that I was working on. I was going to use them in, and I still may. I'm going to take it apart and use that, repurpose the plywood and put the Coroplast on there. And now that I've got the space, I can do that kind of stuff a lot more easily, a lot more efficiently, however you want to put it. So I just wanted to share this. I'm just excited about it. I still have so much to do with the chicken coops. But trying to balance all that, like I said, just having a decent workspace to get into. And I need to do some sewing, and I need to set up a sewing station. So, a lot of projects. Let me know what you think. Please be kind. I do like to know if that's wrong. You know, if something is set up wrong, tell me how to set it up right, or what would make it better or safer. Having a wood storage makes so much sense. Having things easy to unload the truck so that it can just sit right here in this area. And then from there, it can go to wherever it needs to be finished. Having the 2x4s down low, because I want a lot of 2x4s, and then setting up a place for the plywood sheets to lean up over here. I don't know what that was for. The previous owner did that, so I could probably take that down. I'm glad he uses screws like us. We just use screws, so you don't have to pull out nails. But earlier today, these were leaning on the outside of that, and they fell over. And I just don't want that kind of stuff. I want to be able to put things up. And I hate, even in my kitchen storage, to get to this, I got to move that. I don't like that. In my canning stuff, all my quart jars are there, or pint jars. So if I want pint jars, I get it from the top. So the same with the wood. I don't want to dig out this or move this to get to the 2x4s underneath it, or move the 2x4s to get to that. That things like that makes a big difference to me. And I do like to, I like suggestions. I like ideas. I thought about doing a roller dowel inside the center, and the design of that got really complicated. And it didn't need to be complicated. That just by having it this way, I probably could have gotten away with not using the 45-degree angled pieces, and I could have just done another piece out this way, just kind of box it in. That would have worked too. I just started out with that idea and then realized I needed to do something to do the shelf, and then something to corral the centers of the rolls. So, it was a design in progress. So if I was to make another one, I probably won't do the 45-degree angled ones. But that also put it on the inside, because something has to be on the inside. So there's, here's an idea for something like this. So yes, if I was to make something else, if you got experience, please. I know some of this is laughable for you guys that's been doing this stuff all your life. Just keep in mind, I'm an old woman, and I'm just starting to do this kind of stuff. This is, and I like doing things. I like things, knowing that I made it. I know what's in it, what was involved, and I know that some of you young guys can do so much better. But I'm also have to, have got limitations with my strength and my time and my hands and what I can do. So not making any excuses. I just have to find out workarounds. And I love certain tools that I've gotten, the various Kreg jigs and stuff that I've gotten to make pocket holes, and that allowed me to do other things that I wouldn't have been able to do. I wouldn't have known about those things if I hadn't seen somebody on YouTube demonstrate it. So be kind, but let me know if you got ideas or warnings, like don't do that, or, let me know. I'm just excited. Thanks for joining me. Be a blessing and be blessed.